Hello, my name is Amy Wiegand, and we are here today with Women Drone Responders Interview Series. I'm really excited to introduce two ladies from the Verizon Frontline Crisis Response team, Danielle Warner and Tetoya Gibson, both senior managers there. They are going to talk to us about how they assist public safety and emergency management and have some great use cases to talk about Mardi Gras, search and rescue, and also flying in no-fly zones. Ladies, welcome today. So glad to have you here. Danielle, do you want to get us kick-started?
Absolutely. Yes. So my name is Danielle Warner. I have been with Verizon almost 26 years. And Verizon Frontline really was set up about 30 years ago. We are set up to support only first responders. So in the event of a disaster, our team is deployed usually within about 30 minutes. Very quickly, we get to a scene and we are there to assist first responders with critical communications and then, of course, drone response.
Tetoya, how about you?
Hello, everyone. My name is Tetoya Gibson. I'm a Verizon Frontline Crisis Response Senior Manager. My years of public safety date back to 1999, where I joined the military, and I spent over 21 years serving our country and our community. While I was in the military, I loaded bombs, missiles, gun systems on fighter jets. And then post-retirement, I moved over to the American Red Cross. And oddly enough, that's exactly where I found out about the Verizon Frontline Crisis Response team. That was actually down on a disaster in Panama City, where I was out and all of a sudden this big bright red truck showed up. So that's when I wanted to learn more about technology and see what I can do to improve myself and grow. And of course, technology is always changing, it's always improving. So I definitely want to be involved with that.
It sure is. And thank you so much for your service.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. Danielle, I'm going to kick it back to you. Tell us a little bit more about your background and then segue us into our first question of the day, which is, how did you get started flying drones?
Absolutely. So, gosh, I'm originally from Canada. So I went to college to be in federal law enforcement. When I moved to the United States, it took a long time to become a citizen. So I took a temporary job 26 years ago at Verizon. And then several years into that position, we needed a representative with the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency. So I assisted with them for a couple of years. And then that really sparked my interest in the Verizon Frontline Crisis Response Team role when that really came out, probably 8 years ago. So really when the program rolled out, when Tetoya and I were both hired, they gave us the option to fly drones because with what we do now, we create critical communications for first responders when we get to a scene. A lot of times once we create those comms, they run themselves. So, most of our team, our 20-member team, are former first responders, retired veterans. A lot of them already flew drones. So it made sense that while we're on the ground, assisting first responders, let's give them this added benefit. And I have to say, it's such an amazing program. Everything we do for first responders is no cost. So when we roll out communications, when we roll out drones, it is no cost to the first responder agency. So about 6 years ago is when Tetoya and I were given the option, and being the only two females, across the country on our team, we jumped at the chance and we actually partnered up and to make sure that we crushed the exam. We did. So Tetoya, I don't know if you want to cover the.
Definitely. And I did want to mention that Danielle and I actually took our first flight together. So definitely was a moving experience and different things like that. Something else I wanted to mention was not only was I looking to integrate new technology, of course, when the opportunity arose, I definitely wanted to jump at the chance. Of course, I was a little nervous at first, of course, being in the military, you see different types of aircrafts and such like that, but never did I imagine that I'd get to fly one myself and assist public safety. So I immediately volunteered. And of course, Danielle and I, we scored the highest. If she didn't mention before, I definitely want to reiterate that. I recognize the incredible potential for area data collection and in-time critical solutions. So that's definitely what drew me into it.
Okay, good. Well, let's get into the weeds a little bit more about what prompted you to become a drone pilot. I mean, talk to us in depth about, okay, yeah, you saw this in general, but tell us a little bit more about what prompted you to really get involved. What was that catalyst? What brought you to say, I want to fly a drone?
Right. Just being in technology for so many years, I really saw what use cases they had out there for drones and how quickly it can change a situation. So I have 6 kids. So, being involved in search and rescues of missing children, that to me, seeing how that can make such a quick impact. I had the chance to fly for a missing child in Michigan, same age as 2 of my boys. See, I still get a little choked up thinking about it. And it's just
Yeah.
the amazing technology and how quickly you can get up in the air. And, we got to eliminate certain areas of where the little boy was. And that just, it's touching to see what a difference that one person with a drone can make. You hear different things in the news, and I try to push, especially, I talk to a lot of girls. I also have 3 girls. So I really talk to them about, how technology is changing things for the better. Drones, can make such a positive change in the world, not just for searching for missing people, but really just, situational awareness. There's so many things that drones are a positive for, that when I was given the opportunity to fly drones as part of my job, I jumped at the chance. It's just such an amazing opportunity. And then as the technology changes, just staying on the forefront of that it's just such an amazing, exciting, and rewarding career.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. And Tetoya, you mentioned a little bit about being inspired through your military career. Talk to us about why you fly drones.
Why do I fly drones? Well, one thing I definitely want to mention was back in 1999 when I walked into my building, into my installation building. I was one of only 250. I was the only female. And it was one of those career fields where they said, you don't want to do this. You can't handle this. You can't do this. And the worst thing you could tell me is that I can't do something, because I'm going to show out. I'm going to show up and I'm going to show out. And that's exactly what I did. So that inspired me to keep pushing forward. And one thing that I love to mention is my children inspire me. So when I even brought up to my children that this was an opportunity, this was a possibility. Yeah, Mom, you can do it. I do everything for them. I carry them on my sleeve and in my heart every day. Of course, Danielle and her 6 children, amazing. So definitely my children inspired me, and my community inspired me. This is a way to not only push forward technology to assist public safety, but it's a way to create awareness for the ones that are looking up to us. So I take their strength and I take it with me on any response that I do, and they inspire me daily.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm a mother too. Understand 100%. Thank you for sharing that. Now, most of our viewers know that you have to pass the Part 107 and become certified to become a pilot. So we won't go there. Tell us what it takes to become a pilot with Verizon Frontline, crisis response, or something similar. Tell us the path and the process you had to go through to get into that position.
Danielle, you want this one?
Sure. So the path that we took, once we passed our 107, Verizon also has some pretty high standards. So there was a whole nother test we had to study and take as part of Verizon. We also complete a lot of training. So we have certain amount of flight minutes that we have to perform every single month. And then what is also a great tool, Verizon put us through search and rescue training, thermal training. And then so probably 2-3 years ago, I was at a drone conference in Michigan. I was in a room with 130, 140 other drone pilots. I was the only female in the room. Second year comes around, same thing. I walked up to the president of the association and I asked why. And he said, Danielle, and now these are mostly law enforcement. He said, Danielle, a lot of women, when they go into law enforcement, don't pursue the tech roles. They don't get into the technology. A lot of them don't get into the leadership. And that's where the drone pilots tend to sit. And he said, do you want help change that? And I said, absolutely. What do I got to do? So he asked me to sit on the steering committee for the Michigan Public Safety Drone Association. So I've been on their board for about a year. And I take that with me. It's such an amazing opportunity to bring this technology, especially to other women. I mean, one of the cool stories, Tetoya talked a little bit about her kids too. I remember my daughter, she was probably 13 at the time. I overheard her telling somebody what I do. And she wants to do kind of a male dominated field as well. And somebody said, oh, again, like what they said to Tetoya, oh, you can't do that. And she's like, what? Look at what my mom does.
Right.
So it's just, it's, you don't think about it. I do this job because I love it. But you also see at the end, when you do it, you're also inspiring other people. So it's been such a great circle, of a career.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's super crucial for us to be able to showcase STEM education opportunities for folks and what they can do once they get in the workforce. So thank you for both of you for being those people. It's inspiring. Tetoya, did you want to add anything onto that before we move on?
One thing you mentioned was bringing STEM awareness to the communities, and that's something I'm heavily engaged in. I work with several organizations bringing in this technology. I go out, and I know Danielle does it as well, bringing the technology to the urban areas, bringing it to young girls that are up to the age of maybe 15, 16 years old. And there's nothing like pulling out that drone and seeing their eyes light up, or showing them how to take apart a piece of equipment and showing them some of the slides of the cool, interesting things that we get to do in our career fields. Letting them know that it's possible is everything. And that's really what I want everyone to take from this, or anything that I'm saying. Each one teach one.
Right. Letting them know it's possible.
To take your spot.
Yes. Yeah, that's what you want, right? You want to train them up so that they take your spot. Absolutely. That's what good leaders do. Thank you for saying that. I love that. So let's talk about your specific roles. What we want to do here is showcase what types of jobs are out there, what types of roles, what can you do in this role? Tell us about your path to being a senior manager with the crisis response team, how you got there, and then also what your role actually entails day to day.
Well, you want to go, Danielle? Go ahead.
Why don't you go first?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, how I found out about this, I've always been interested, of course, in technology. But again, looking at the obstacles of it all, you don't think that there's a possibility that I could be included in a team like this. And as Danielle mentioned, there's only two of us. We definitely stick together, but being able to join this team and be a part of it, I've gotten to see some things that I never thought I would see. One thing I always like to mention is I'm just a little girl from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Some of the roles that we participate in, of course, my background is heavily engaged in emergency management. During Hurricane Katrina, I was heavily involved with the American Red Cross as a volunteer then. So I was able to see, different ways to help people, help in the community. That's my bread and butter. That's what I think my calling is. And so with that, I took that, got more so into emergency management. So I always known that this was what I wanted to do. And then to kick it up a notch and add technology. Are you kidding me? I'm in my dream job, so that's basically how I got to this. This was my path. It started many, many years ago, emergency management, of course. And I've been able to take those things that I've learned in the past and throw all of the experience and background that I have into Verizon Frontline and being a senior crisis response manager.
Now, you didn't start as a senior manager, did you?
No.
Yeah. So tell us about that path a little bit, both of you, if you can.
Well, I think we pretty much had the same path, Danielle. Well, Danielle started a little bit sooner.
Yeah, I started in sales at Verizon.
Okay.
Like I said, I was waiting to become a citizen, and I took a temporary job back in 2000 and started in a sales role. And I did sales for almost 20 years at Verizon. what was interesting in that is I was supporting local federal law enforcement. So I still got to be involved in the solutions that we helped create, really helping them, bridge gaps in their communication plans. And then when this role came open, somebody else had it before me, and I would bring him out to the agencies I supported and said, look at this, if a disaster happens, you have someone dedicated to your agency. And, I brought him around, and thankfully when the job came open, and this is, I kick myself because I can't believe I almost didn't even apply for this job. Being a mom of 6, it can be a demanding job. I really had to have the support of my family to be able to on call at a moment's notice. I mean, we all have go bags in our vehicles ready to go if something occurs. And, I thank the mentor I had before I took this job, because if it weren't for him, I would have never applied. He's like, you can do it. We can teach you the piece of technology that you don't know. But with your attitude, your go-getter attitude, with your passions, that's something you can't teach. So if it weren't for that, I never would have even been in this role. So I'm so thankful, for the support. I mean, and Tetoya and I are just, if I don't quite know how to do something, or if it's been a while, or if I need a little extra support, we call each other. It's just, it's an amazing thing to have. We really work on a team full of technology professionals. I mean, just an amazing group of people. And it's been such a outstanding career path so far.
Wonderful. Good. Tetoya, do you have anything else to add to that before we move on?
Well, I know Danielle mentioned, we have our go bags and so forth. Some of the steps we take when we get there, of course, thank goodness for us, as Danielle also mentioned, that it's a team effort. We're never alone, whether it be via phone, text message, email, anything like that. We can always reach out to someone. So like when we're getting to that disaster, if we have any questions, we can call them. But the first thing we do when we get to that disaster, or when we get a call, is of course make sure that go bag and our vehicles are packed, our assets are ready to go. We get to that disaster and we're reaching out to that public safety to see what the needs are and see what ways we can do to help them out. And then we take it over. We want to get them relieved from anything, take something off their plate so they can focus more on the actual disaster, the event that they're going through. And that's exactly what we do after we get the call. And, contacting each other is one of the main things that we love to do. That way we can get a different insight, and Danielle's my sister. So, we lean on each other quite a bit. I don't know what I would do without her.
Yep. We have sisterhood and brotherhood in this community for sure. It's a real thing. And just having been at NACON, it's a beautiful thing. And NACON is the National Conference for Drone Responders, for those new viewers. You gave me a perfect segue, Tetoya. I live in Western North Carolina, and a few years back experienced Hurricane Helene. One of the things that was critical to survival, as well as the aftermath and cleanup, was communications. Tell people about how important it is to have critical communications, and why this is a segment of this broader drone response industry. A lot of people don't understand, especially newbies coming in. What do you need communications for? It's huge, it's critical. So talk about the comms, and then let's dive into some of your use cases as well.
So Tetoya and I were both deployed to Hurricane Helene. We both towed in trailers. I towed in a trailer from Michigan. Tetoya brought one in from Virginia. It was a team response. I don't think we've had so many crisis response managers show up. When we arrived on scene, I was in an area just outside of Asheville, and I set up a trailer, created communications for first responders. A lot of people don't realize. So once critical comms are set up, a lot of times now the volunteers are being able to communicate with the Emergency Operations Center, so they can maybe cross off areas that they've searched for missing people. Drone drones need critical communications.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when I'm flying at a scene, or even if I'm not flying, I'm providing those communications to the first responders, because if they can't stream back what they're seeing on their drone, you're missing a whole piece. So quite often when I'm at a scene, like I said, even if I'm not flying a drone, I'm making sure the first responders that are flying drones have that dedicated link. So anything that they're viewing is going back to a command center, to a group of people that are watching and monitoring an area.
Mm-hmm.
So Tetoya, if you want to talk a little bit more about.
Absolutely, Danielle. That was definitely a national event that we brought people over, I believe, as far as from California and Colorado, I believe, was down there with us.
Yep.
So with me being one state up in Virginia, some of Virginia was affected as well.
Yes.
So I'm coming down from Richmond and I'm hitting different areas such as Southern Virginia and setting up communications and making my way down to where Danielle and the rest of the team were. Being able to move those communications, we're known as the boots on the ground, the first boots on the ground, if you will. And so when we get there, it is critically urgent to set up those communications, because without communications, they can't communicate, right?
Right.
So not only are we bringing things out of our trucks, setting up satellite communication trailers and different things like that. And Danielle and I carry well over 100 different solutions in the back of our truck. We're going to throw everything that we have to get those first responders up and going, providing that situational awareness, providing them, even if they could just make a phone call to a family member to let them know that they are safe, is all important. And of course, as Danielle mentioned, and I believe you did as well, communication is key. You can't do anything without it. And how many times have you seen someone nowadays without a cell phone or without a laptop, tablet, carrying it around with them? And not only were they sharing information, public safety sharing information amongst each other in the localized area, some of this information was going across the country. Other people wanted to know what was taking place and so forth. So not only are we the first ones to get there for boots on the ground for Verizon Frontline Crisis Response Team, but we're creating bubbles to stay in communication for everyone to be notified of everything that's taking place. And Hurricane Helene / Milton, I rarely say Helene without saying Milton, because that was a situation that it was unprecedented. We hadn't seen anything like that before. So you got half of us that had to stay and make sure, button up Helene and send everybody else down to Milton. So it was definitely a long but rewarding experience. I definitely hope it never happens again, but if it does, we'll be there.
Good.
Can I add on to that as well? So another example of where critical communications are key. A coworker and I got sent up to a search and rescue of a missing 8-year-old boy up in the Porcupine Mountains in Michigan a couple of years ago. He was able to set up so we tow portable cell sites essentially behind our trucks.
Okay.
He got there first, set up communications for the Emergency Operations Center, where all the police and volunteers were. And then about 3 miles east, we found the little boy's boot prints. So I set up my trailer at that location and I give Wi-Fi. So that way the volunteers that are doing the grid, working the ground, are basically crossing off areas where that little boy might be. Without that communications, they're not able. I mean, you got to think, you have 200 firefighters or volunteers out in the field. They don't have radios. Not all of them do. They all have cell phones though. So they were able to use the Wi-Fi off of the communications that we created to basically eliminate the areas. And then once those comms were set up, my colleague and I were able to communicate with the police's helicopter, land when they were coming in, go back up, and we were able to, again, eliminate a lot more areas where the little boy was not by flying our drones.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's crucial to success. And you told me earlier that this was a successful mission. Talk about finding him and the aftermath there.
So it was a difficult one. The parents were there. It took 49 hours. Brave little boy. He just took a wrong turn is what it essentially happened, and got lost for 49 hours. And in northern Michigan in April, there's still snow on the ground. They just had a rapid melt. So the rivers up there were raging rapids. I remember flying my drone on a bridge with one of the local police departments. And I said, what happens if, somebody slips into this water? And he's like, you're in it for a few days before it spits you out into Lake Superior. So it wasn't just the cold and the animals, and it was the danger that this little boy faced. So 49 hours go by. He was successfully found. And I think that was the second time I've cried on the job. Just tears of joy. Again, I've got 2 boys that are that age, and it was just an amazing experience. And then my colleague and I received certificates of excellence from the agency for our work with the drones and communication while we're up there. So,
yeah. And finding him alive.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah. Good. Well, congratulations and thank you. That's amazing. I know you have a few other use cases that I know our viewers will be interested in hearing about. Recently, you assisted with Mardi Gras and that event, and then you have a no-fly zone story to tell us. You want to dive into those?
Yes, absolutely. So why don't I talk about the no-fly zone? So just an amazing opportunity. There's an agency that, again, agencies are still working to grow out their drone teams. We have a very good size drone team at Verizon. We have probably 250 pilots across the country. Only 20 of us are dedicated to disaster response and crisis response. So they reached out to us for assistance. They had a president coming in from another country that they needed assistance for. So a colleague and I, we all agreed. We were up on a roof in downtown Washington, D.C. for 3 days. And we assisted the agency in charge with really providing situational awareness. So anytime security detail came in and out with that foreign president, we basically flew. We were flying rooftops, windows, anything we could. And everything that I was seeing, I was streaming back to their incident command. So then they also had another group, in an operations center viewing everything I would see. So if we saw somebody on a rooftop, check hands, check, clearing basically, because I'm not a police officer. So I'm not going to be in charge to clear somebody. And if something, drastic occurred. So that's where, again, critical communications are key, streaming back to incident command. They were able to clear when needed. And it was just an amazing opportunity. I never thought I'd be able to fly in downtown DC. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do it again. But it's, fantastic. And then 2 years ago, following the terrorist attack in New Orleans, they got the approval to fly drones for their large events. Again, because we work very closely with agencies across the United States. They knew the capabilities that we had with our drone team. They asked us if we could come in and fly for Mardi Gras. So I've had the opportunity to fly 2 Mardi Gras. My coworkers also flew in the French Quarter Festival.
Okay.
And, we're up there for a week, on a rooftop flying with NOPD. When you have 1 million people at these events, the first thing we do, we created critical comms dedicated just for the drone team. That way, everything they could see was streaming back to incident command. And then we flew. They'd give us certain areas to fly just for situational awareness, just in the event something occurred. We also helped find missing children. So they had, a large parade, people are going to get lost. So there were different things that they helped us, or that we helped assist them with over the week-long events. So really fantastic. It's great to have those partnerships with law enforcement, especially again, as they, drones aren't cheap.
So absolutely.
So it's not just the investment of the drone, but the training. And, you got to think a lot of times you might only have a handful of drone pilots on your team. When an incident occurs, are they even nearby? That's where our team comes in, and to really show our capabilities and to provide that for our first responders.
Sure. So for those of those people who don't know or don't understand the process here, what's your lead time? Are you setting up a couple days prior, a day prior? What's the planning process to just do an event like this? And then afterwards, talk about a
Right.
little bit more about the data analysis and what's provided, back.
So I can give you another example of an event that Tetoya and I handled. So the NATO summit in Ohio that happened last year. That one we planned for a good 6 months in advance. We assisted many agencies, again, with the communication piece, but then a lot of times, especially if there's a TFR in place, we have to get basically the paperwork in advance. So months in advance, often we're preparing with the agencies hand in hand. And then like during the NATO event, we provided, 150, 200 communication devices, but then we were also able to fly during NATO alongside the local police departments for situational awareness. So planned events, we try to get as much time as possible, but for search and rescue, I mean, as long as there's not a TFR, then we can basically fly right away.
Sure. Yeah, great. No, that gives people some perspective on what's involved in those two types of events. Do you have anything to add to Toya to use cases that you've worked?
Many of my use cases have to deal with exercising and training. I'm definitely high on learning more, right? So I had some opportunity to fly with EMA personnel, emergency management agencies, and fire departments and so forth over the water, being able to see the water and see them below and stream that back to their command buses and different things like that was definitely something I hadn't experienced before and never thought I would get the opportunity to do so. It was over possibly 100, 150 individuals out on maybe 40 boats at that time. And utilizing that, I was able to take that, what I learned from over there, and take it to different exercises across the country, right? So like I mentioned before, I'm big on learning, big on training, definitely big on training. Some of the largest cyber attacks or cybersecurity conferences in the country have been held that I've been able to learn about counterintelligence as far as UAS and drone technology and so forth with some of the leading specialists, subject matter experts in the country. So definitely taking that. Danielle definitely has some amazing incidents. Mine is more so on the training portion and learning more about what's up and coming and being able to take some of those instances back to my team and say, hey, I saw this. Hey, I saw that. Let's learn more about it. And I'm definitely a bookworm. So you can call me a nerd. I'm proud to say it, proud to admit it. I'll definitely get in some books and learn more about what's taking place. That way we can better provide our customers with all the information that we've learned.
Yep. No, that's great. Fellow geek here as well, Tetoya. Thanks for sharing that. It's super important. I think we could do episodes on training as well as counter UAS for sure, but we need to wrap up. So I'm going to ask you a few more questions. Specifically, what have been your biggest challenges as a woman in this field? And very briefly, explain that.
Well, I'd have to say my biggest challenge is being a woman in this field. Right. So, and of course, I only have 2 children. I don't have 6, but being able to create that time to fly and create a balance, right. And finding opportunities to participate in UAS operations. So definitely that was a challenge. Of course, my family, I've been deployed many times before, so they understand me leaving and going away. But creating a work-life balance and finding those opportunities that I can create more opportunities to fly and learn more and different things like that. But I would have to say the biggest issue and overall in our career field for me is being a woman. Okay.
We could unpack that a little bit more probably, but we don't have time. So Danielle, I'm going to throw it over to you. What's been your biggest challenge?
Right. And while we're talking, why don't I show a couple of pictures? If I could. Okay. All right. Can you see them on the screen? So same thing with me. It's really the work-life balance. I think my biggest hurdle was myself. It's hard to picture yourself in a role when there's nobody else like you. So really believing in myself. And another big thing, find a mentor. Tetoya's got a mentor. I have a mentor. It makes all the difference. It really gives you that boost of confidence when you think, you know what, maybe I should sit this one out. Absolutely not. You don't have time to sit it out. I look back and I think of all of the amazing things, and I loved my job before I took this role, but I was comfortable. I didn't really push myself because I'd become an expert in this job, especially being on the drone piece with everything new that's coming out. Everything I would have missed out on, I can't imagine the opportunities, the passion that Tetoya and I have for this role. And just, it's such a fulfilling role. Being able to work with first responders, being able to work with the community. So why don't I just show you, this was a pretty cool, this was really a commercial. Again, I never would have had that opportunity, but this was a shot for a commercial.
What would be your advice to women in the field?
My advice to women. Okay, so my advice to women in the field. So one picture here, if you can see, training, being prepared. I really do speak up quite a bit now on my own behalf. I went to my employer and said, look, if I'm going to get in there with all these men and really be an expert, you've got to get me the training. So I do a lot of training with my own team at Verizon, but I do a lot of training with local law enforcement. As you can see, we had the opportunity of flying in a local school. And then here's actually a picture of flying in Mardi Gras on a rooftop just last month. So training, believe in yourself, get a mentor. There's so many opportunities out there, especially in the drone career, that until you try it and go for it, you just don't know what you would miss out on.
Right. No, great advice. Tetoya, how will you leave us with your final thoughts here?
My advice would be to get involved. Not only in the community, start any way you can. Like I mentioned before, anything's possible. Danielle mentioned getting a mentor. I have too. Get as many as you need. And if you want to learn more about it, dig in the books, get on the internet, find out any ways that you could be a part of it. Technology is ever growing, and it does not need to be dominated by one sex. It can be dominated by both. And we definitely have a seat at the table, and we need to take that seat and give every opportunity we can and don't settle for less.
Right. And work together, right? Work together as a team.
Yeah.
So important, especially in this field. So as we wrap up here, tell everyone how they can get in touch with you.
With us?
Yes.
Well, by far, you can reach out on social media. I know both of us have instances or definitely LinkedIn pages. And to get in touch with Verizon Frontline, there's a 1-800 number. Definitely, if you want to learn more about our innovation side of the house and things that we have up and coming and things that we're working on, tap into Verizon Frontline innovation side of the house. Google that one. You'll find out more information of what we're doing, what's taking place, and things that we're looking forward to in the future. Danielle?
Yes, same thing. When agencies need us, there's an 800 number that they call. I can read it. It's 800-981-9558. A lot of the agencies, though, because we do a ton of exercises with agencies just to plan for disasters, a lot of them just call us personally. So, yeah.
Very good. And if there was a woman or a girl in the viewing audience here today, they could reach out to you on LinkedIn?
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay. We get
good.
Those all the time.
Good. Okay, you heard it here first. Reach out. It looks like we've got 2 mentors here potentially. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Verizon Frontline, for being here with us today and explaining a little bit more about what you do. My name is Amy T. Wiegand, and we are so excited to report that NACON was a successful event. check out droneresponders.com, or excuse me, .org. I do that every time, droneresponders.org, to view more about NACON, as well as our social media feeds. Also, if you are interested in being interviewed for Women Drone Responders Interview Series, do not hesitate to reach out to me. It is amy.wiegand at droneresponders.org. Again, amy.wiegand at droneresponders.org. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm also a mentor. Happy to have you reach out to me on LinkedIn, and we can connect there. I'm thinking I have another announcement. Yes, I do. We really would love for women to become involved in our group, and men, actually. We just had a wonderful Women Drone Responders reception at NACON, where all of us came together and talked about how important it is to create the future of innovation. And we even gave out some scholarships from our Women Drone Responders reception sponsor, AX Enterprise. Thank you again, AX, for allowing us to have those scholarships and giving those to students who were with us last few weeks ago. But to get involved, we need you to go to droneresponders.org, go to groups on the main nav tab, and then click down Women Drone Responders. You'll see there you can join our discussion board, create a profile, great place to network. That's how Danielle found us. And thank you again, Danielle and Verizon Frontline. We really appreciate your time today, and we'll see you on the next episode of Women Drone Responders.